want to thank everybody who's been with me, my Xbox clan.
When Kobe's going back to play Madison Square Garden, and he's like, hey, hook me up with dinner with Heath Ledger.
Like Russell Westbrook, that was a great feat the other day. I couldn't even tweet it out.
It's Coach Frank Vogel here, full of enthusiasm and positive energy.
Well, first of all, you don't smoke peyote.
And there was a couple games where I was at a hookah lounge. That's the truth. I wasn't smoking hookah, but I was there.
There was a time when the Israelites were wandering in the desert, and all of a sudden, bread came down from heaven. That's kind of what today feels like to have KCP join.
Welcome back to Bulls vs. Blazers. You can find us, as always, on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, anywhere else you find podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, give us a 5-star review, all of that. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/BullsVBlazers. You can pay us $3 a month, and we get an extra episode per week, all of that.
Double the content.
Double the content. And now, Erik, I love it when there's synergy. And the beginning of the episode, the intro music, as I have it saved, the Real Lakers drop. It has a bunch of clips from different, famous Lakers press conferences in recent years. One of them is Rob Pelinka introducing Kentavious Caldwell-Pope as a free agent, and he has
the
a very
Deals
colorful...
man, the Robbie Deals. I just want
Robbie Deals, soon to be NBA championship GM Robbie Deals, by the way.
That's right.
But his press conference introducing KCP, he refers to KCP as Manna From Heaven and talks about the story of the Israelites in the desert, and then bread comes down from heaven. Bread came down from heaven for the Lakers tonight. KCP got the Zoom podium game. I believe KCP might be the first player, because the way that these Zooms work, for those of you who are listening to this who aren't media members and haven't been getting on these Zoom calls during the playoffs and in the bubble, there's two Zooms running at the same time. There's the main Zoom where the coach will talk, and then like two players who are like the most important players in the game will talk. And then there's like a secondary Zoom where like some of the other guys on the team will talk if there's like reason for them to. I believe this is the first time all season for the Lakers in the bubble that any player not named LeBron James or Anthony Davis was on the main Zoom, like the A Zoom instead of the backup Zoom.
Wow. Klutch Tavius.
This is his reward for, he spent 3 years basically being the money launderer for them to orchestrate LeBron to the Lakers and all this, and now he gets rewarded with basically a game saving performance in the finals to give them a 3-1 lead.
And I'm here to take a victory lap for myself and ESPN.com's Kevin Pelton, who have been the only two believers in the NBA media for the last year and a half or so that KCP is actually good. And boy, I mean, I will like G-chat Kevin very frequently about KCP, and we both just like, we'll kiki about it. And it's just like KCP, listen, he was bread from heaven tonight for the Los Angeles Lakers. That exchange when Jimmy, which I thought was a good shot. Like, I thought that Jimmy corner.
Oh, you're talking about the corner three that he missed, yeah.
The corner three that he missed, that was a good look. He was wide open. They left him open, and he barely missed that shot. But then LeBron gets the rebound, pushes it up the court, and hits KCP in the corner for a splash three when the Lakers are up by 2. And that could have been a Heat lead just as easily. And he hits that, and then he has the driving right-hand layup on Duncan Robinson a possession later. And while Anthony Davis and Rondo both had big possessions in the last minute of the game, though that exchange with Jimmy Butler and KCP for me was the turning point. And he deserves all of the love. I want to shout out KCP's Burner, because there has been a KCP Burner.
You're going to have to tell me about this. I haven't seen it.
I'm not going to air out the @ and also I don't know it off the top of my head. I'm going to have to search for it. But
is this confirmed KCP Burner?
No, it is not a confirmed KCP Burner, but there is a rumor about a KCP Burner where, and it's like very clearly a burner where after like every Lakers loss, it's like don't worry, KCP's got this. Lakers in 5. Like it is like clockwork at this point, and like I gotta find this. I have to find this.
Is this
while I find this? You should talk about the game.
Okay, so I think you're right about the Jimmy Butler missed corner 3 being a turning point. Jimmy did take a couple more threes tonight, because remember in the 40-point triple-double in the last game, he didn't attempt any threes, and that led to certain NBA writers discovering for the first time that it's possible to have an effective game while taking mid-range shots and writing think pieces about that. So Jimmy took a few more. I almost feel like he should have taken them earlier in the game, just to kind of get in the rhythm of doing that. And just basically forcing the Lakers to remember, hey, Jimmy can actually hit these shots. Like, this is actually, something we should guard him on.
I'm totally with you. I can't find the KCP tweet right now, but the KCP Burner account, I wish I had researched this beforehand. This is really a crucial story in the Lakers' legacy, that there's this account out here that is literally just like, KCP's got this. And if you look at the replies on Twitter, people will be like, let's go KCP. Like, it's not a confirmed burner, but I think it's just like a joke that every Lakers fan is on, and I'm totally in on it being real.
I mean, how does LeBron feel about that, though? Because remember the Brian Colangelo burner account thing happened during the Cavs-Warriors finals, whatever year that was. Mm-hmm. And somebody asked, I think Dan Gilbert tweeted something. I forget what it was, but he tweeted something that made news. It might have been like a pro-Trump tweet or something. And somebody asked LeBron about it. And LeBron was like, well, it's from his own account, right? This was obviously while LeBron was doing Zero Dark 23, whatever, where he was not seeing Twitter.
I found it. By the way, I found it.
Okay, so LeBron's anti-burner account.
Wow. Well, I think he's going to have. You know what? I don't think he has to have a talking with KCP, because KCP has him one win away from ring number 4.
Okay.
And the KCP burner account in question is at TAN 508-79294. And on October 3rd, they tweeted, KCP bounce back game coming, 2 away from the ring. Can you feel it in the air yet, Laker Nation? Get the parade floats ready. And I'm gonna go into the selection of all of these tweets. After they beat the Denver Nuggets, never a doubt, 4 more. And then after they lost to the Nuggets in game 4 of that, or game 3 of that finals, in the Western Conference Finals, I feel like last night was a wake-up call for the Lakers. Nothing different than every other series. We good, LA. Lakers in 5. Take it to the bank. And all the comments are, you right, KCP. Let's go, KCP. Make some threes, KCP.
Are these concurrent, are these people going back and replying to them later on, or are these was this a known thing then?
It's a known thing then, and the number one reply always is a spotlighted Photoshop of KCP's jersey going up in the Lakers rafters. That's the number one. We have also Paul George, not even the best shooting guard in LA. Ha ha ha. KCP greater than playoff P.
Is that a KCP burner tweet or a reply?
That's a KCP burner tweet.
Oh, that's excellent.
Alleged burner.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, KCP has been. It's been incredible. After game 1, he's like, after game 1 against the Blazers, for instance, he goes, or he had a big game in game 2, and then he had quote tweeted Mike Trudell, who's the Lakers beat reporter, and he says, and I got a feeling KCP isn't done yet. All of his tweets are so directly about KCP that it's either an incredible doppelganger of a burner account, or it's actually KCP. We haven't seen a tweet yet from tonight, but he's got.
Are you putting that on mobile alerts?
Wow, that's next level, and I'm about to do that. I need to put the KCP burner on mobile alerts.
I mean, I can't decide whether I think it would be funnier if this was actually him or if this was like somebody doing a bit. Where like at the beginning of the playoffs, the beginning of the bubble, this person was like, you know what? I'm going to pretend to be KCP's burner account and just hope that it pays off where he has a big game in the finals and people find it and it goes viral. Like, I could see somebody doing that. I wonder if there are similar burner accounts for like Quinn Cook and other, Lakers role players.
Yeah, this account has 7,585 followers. So it's a groupthink thing, obviously, but there is a large group of people that think this person is actually KCP.
I am clearly not deep enough into the Lakers dark web Twitter to actually be. Is this like Deep State Lakers?
This is Deep State Lakers for sure, and maybe it's part of Pelinka's grander plan to take over the world.
This might be Rob Pelinka running this account because he got so much shit for signing. I mean, look, Bulls versus Blazers. We always tell you
it's so open right now.
We always try to keep our third eye open. So I think that might be Rob Pelinka because he got so much shit for signing him to those big contracts 3 years in a row. And by the way, like I feel like KCP owes it to the Lakers to pick up that $9 million player option for next year, just to do them a solid for getting him the bag for 3 years in a row.
Oh, and listen, if there's any trouble, I feel like it's going to be, if they get LeBron this ship, I think all hard feelings are going to go to the wayside, and then even Rich and everybody's going to be like, yeah, it's cool. KCP can take 9.
Unless their plan is to throw a max offer sheet at new Klutch signee Gary Trent Jr.
Well, he is an unrestricted free agent.
He's restricted, right?
I'm
pretty sure he's restricted.
Well, they picked up his option, so that makes him
restricted. Okay, so he's not even up. Even though
he was a second. Yeah, no, he's not a free agent this year. But he is extension eligible, which is why I think Klutch got in with him, because they're like, yo, we got this new money coming. It's about to be, at least $12 to $15 million a year compared to 1.6 what he's going to make next year. I just think it was very clearly for Klutch like this kid's good play, and also this kid's about to get paid play, and it doesn't really matter whether it's with the Lakers or not.
Okay, I mean the Blazers are a pretty Klutch heavy team between him and Nurkic now.
Yeah, and listen, as a Blazers partisan, I think it's good for business to be in business with Rich Paul.
Maybe Rich Paul eventually succeeds Neil Olshey as the GM, and then LeBron buys the team.
Yeah, that's, I think, an ideal scenario if you're the Portland Trailblazers, because Jody Allen doesn't want to own this team, and I think they want to sell off the asset. But, obviously there's Cleveland as well, but I just don't see Dan Gilbert getting rid of the Cavaliers ever at this point.
And LeBron isn't going to want to pay him market value for it. Like, LeBron will put together $2 billion to buy a team, but he's not trying to give Dan Gilbert $2 billion of his money.
No, not at all. Not at all.
That's different from going back to play for him when he realizes that he has all the leverage because Dan Gilbert's entire financial well-being outside of his predatory loan business is based on the Cavs being good. And LeBron is the only time the Cavs have been good in their entire existence, except for those 2 years where they were playing the Bulls in the.
And he didn't like him. He didn't like him at all. And I think there's something about while LeBron I think does love being a Cleveland Cavalier, I do think that loved bringing a championship to Cleveland more so than being a Cavalier. I do think that there is something about him that likes brand name franchises. And while the Blazers are, nowhere near the Lakers, the Buss family is never going to sell. And if you look up and down the West Coast, Vivek bought the Kings not too long ago. The Warriors are not selling. And you look at all the teams close to LA, Portland is the one established brand that it could be up for sale one day. No,
and what else is in the Portland area?
Nike, of course.
So, and I mean, LeBron is
talking about wine. Also,
that's right.
LeBron can own a fucking chateau in Dundee or something. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron could live his French countryside fantasy in Oregon if he wants to.
They already dispatched Melo to put out feelers about Portland as a place to live, and Melo's reviews are positive. It's kind of like how, what's his name? DeAndre Jordan got traded to the Knicks in the Porzingis trade. And part of their plan was to have him kind of scout out the Knicks and tell KD and Kyrie about him. And of course that backfired because the Knicks are a disaster. But Melo has positive things to say about it. And LeBron is asking him, like, hey, what do you think about Portland? Like, do you like living in Portland? Would I like living in Portland? He might just be filing this information away, maybe planning a hostile takeover of McCollum Heritage Wines, where he basically forces CJ to sign to switch from him. Is CJ CAA or is he Wasserman now?
He's XL.
Okay.
Jeff Schwartz.
Okay, so he's going to try to force CJ to switch to Klutch and then buy out McCollum Estates Wine to merge with his own wine, which is going to be a subsidiary of Dwayne Wade's wine.
Something like that. And I think LeBron is the wheels are turning, and also shout out to LeBron he was pretty shitty in the first half, and he showed up the way they needed to, and 28, 12, and 8 when Anthony Davis, while he did have a team high plus 17, game high plus 17, what LeBron does on a possession-to-possession basis and literally controlling all of the action with the screens and the passes and the drives, to me, and also guard, I know Anthony Davis guarded Jimmy Butler for a lot of the game tonight. LeBron had him on some clutch possessions. I just think that LeBron, he is in the driver's seat right now for Finals MVP.
I think after tonight, and then also after how bad AD was in Game 3, I think it's kind of back around to LeBron. It did seem like for a while, even like my stance the whole time has been that there was no way LeBron wasn't going to win Finals MVP, because I just figured there's no way that the media who's voting was going to actually give it to him. But then after the first couple of games, it kind of seemed like a lot of the media that's there is kind of LA based people, and it seems like they're kind of ready to anoint AD and have the passing of the torch be like the narrative about it. And so I actually started thinking, okay, AD's probably going to win Finals MVP now. But then with, how he basically no-showed in the last game, and then tonight LeBron was so good down the stretch, even just like early on in the second half. LeBron had been terrible in the first half, basically. And then he comes out and like within the first 2 minutes of the second half, he hits these 2 deep 3-pointers, and I was just like, okay, well, if LeBron is hitting those now, like, it's probably a wrap. And that's kind of when the game turned to me.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I already said that the Jimmy KCP exchange was where it turned for me, but the fact that LeBron was so instrumental on basically every possession down the stretch, and I want to give Anthony Davis credit. That step back 3 that he hit,
yeah, that was the dagger.
That was like the dagger, but that was awesome, but they don't get to that point without LeBron running the show the entire time. And I thought that the way he handled things, the way that he distributed, the way that he read the defense, it was exquisite, and he deserves all of the accolades that come with this series. I do want to give a shout out to maybe the greatest 1-for-7 performance in finals history from Rondo. The fact that he was able to get a couple of offensive rebounds, disrupt a couple of other defensive rebounds that the Heat had, and just bleed the Heat from just some extra possessions and kind of poke them a little bit, get them to bleed a little bit. And like those little plays that Rondo made at the end where Vogel went with him and not Caruso down the stretch, I thought were huge. Like, and Danny Green has been just like forgotten in the rotation. Like it's Rondo, Caruso, and KCP, and then maybe Danny Green. And Rondo just disrupted enough of those possessions where the Heat defense is giving everything they can to stop LeBron James. They're doing a show and recover where it's like the guy where they're, the Lakers are trying to get the switch, and they do a little initial switch, whether it's Herro or Robinson, but they will retreat back to get on their guys so that Jimmy can get back to LeBron mostly, or Bam can get back to Anthony Davis. And the fact that they were able to take advantage of those little creases in the Heat defense with them getting back to their man and trying to box out and secure the rebound. Rondo had a couple. Markieff had a huge one in the fourth quarter. Like, they just did those little things, and that's what championship teams do. And Rondo, we've said it enough times, like, that dude is a championship player, and he made the huge plays. He was a +8, even though he was 1 for 7, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal. It looks terrible in the box score, but you had to watch those last couple of plays down the stretch to realize just how crucial he was in those last few minutes. I want to make sure that we touch on how important Rondo was, and this is why you don't play Talen Horton-Tucker, Laker fan, in these minutes. Like, you play Rondo.
Playoff Rondo is just, we have been the most staunchly playoff Rondo podcast probably out there.
Definitely.
This year in the bubble, we were on this kind of earlier than everybody else, and you and KP were vindicated about KCP. We're vindicated for sure about playoff Rondo. Like,
yes,
the Lakers would not be where they are without playoff Rondo.
They don't even beat the Rockets without Rondo.
No, they don't. You know why LeBron's going to win Finals MVP though?
Why?
Because he sent the team a group text today.
Wow.
Saying that this game is a must-win.
The first person to ever declare that a game is a must-win in the NBA Finals via group text.
Whoa, second.
Behind who?
I mean, definitely Kobe did that once, right? So LeBron was channeling Kobe. This was just LeBron displaying Mamba mentality by sending a text to his teammates.
Oh my God. Yes, clearly it was Mamba driven.
Before the pregame Zoom call before the game tonight. So like you saw the Instagram of like LeBron rolling up to the arena wearing a Kobe tribute shirt, right?
Yes.
So before the game, some reporter, it wasn't like any of the main reporters, it was like some reporter.
Was this after Frank Vogel's wish to Happy Coaches Day?
Yes,
Happy National Coaches Day.
Yes, an unnamed reporter from a major publication opened his question to Vogel by wishing him a happy National Coaches Day, which I respect the effort to just, suck up to him before you ask your question, which I'm sure was a very hard question that has always asked by said
reporter.
Yes, but then like that follow up to that was from another. I think this was from someone from like Italy or Philippines or something. It was an international reporter who asked Frank Vogel, "You saw LeBron wore a Kobe shirt into the game tonight. Are we going to see some Mamba mentality tonight?"
Jesus Christ.
That was just like we really got to vet these questions. We got to vet the reporters who are on these Zoom calls. Cause I actually have a couple things I've been trying to ask on these Zoom calls and I don't get called on because I'm not like one of the beat writers or like one of the national guys, but like I actually have a couple of good questions that I'm trying to ask different guys. And it's like, we don't need to ask like, are we going to see Mamba mentality tonight? Like, come on.
Well, hey, at least you haven't been boxed out by the Lakers because you write for the Klutch Sports publication. So, at least you still get on those Zoom calls unless, whereas I am like treated like a second-class spy or something from Klutch Sports. But
that's great. But we definitely, I think we
maybe
need to
it's
break
a real
down.
Lakers. It might be a real Lakers thing. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I think
it might be.
I think the Lakers are scared of the fact that we tell their narrative better than they do.
I hope they don't ever listen to this podcast then, because I might start getting frozen. Now, they've actually been pretty good to me. Earlier on in the playoffs, I've been able to get questions in. Now that it's in the
hashtag league partner.
Yeah, well, right. I mean, I can play the Turner card. That doesn't always work with every team. There are unnamed local teams that won't give me a season credential, even though I'm with a league partner, because I'm not a beat writer.
You hate to see it.
You really do hate to see it. But so this has been media bitching corner.
Media bitch sesh. right now. The media bitch sesh.
But we need to break down how, like, definitely for like LeBron sent this group text before the game. He set the scene in his post-game interview. He woke up from his pre-game nap after the group film session, and he just felt the vibe and wanted to let his teammates know what kind of zone he was in. And you know that after the game is over. Yes, this is all direct quotes from LeBron. After
I believe it. This is the most like on-brand LeBron thing I've ever heard.
So after the game, you know that like in the locker room, they're celebrating the win. They're up 3-1 in the finals. You know LeBron pulls Anthony Davis and KCP and
Markieff as well. Markieff told the story on NBA TV.
Right. You know that he told them all aside and was just like, hey, guys, go ahead and air out the group text, because this is going to be big for me where I can just show them how locked in I was. This is going to be like he got the company line kind of straightened out. He got everybody on message. Like, I mean, this is kind of the same thing that happened after Davis hit the game-winning shot in Game 2 of the Denver series, where LeBron comes out and he points to the last game that they had before the COVID shutdown, where AD misses that same shot against Brooklyn.
That's right.
And then AD comes out and is like, yeah, I was just talking to LeBron earlier about that shot I missed against Brooklyn. Like, they coordinated that beforehand.
I don't know if it's necessarily a coordination as much as like LeBron being like, yo, remember when I said that before the game?
Right, but at this point, it's like unspoken that whenever LeBron brings something like that up, that means this is our talking point for today. And now it's like
true.
And now, like, between the 4 different players that have talked about this group text today, every single Lakers beat writer is going to be able to write the inside story of the group text that ignited the Lakers taking a command. Like, you can just see that headline in like every one of them.
Suddenly, Jared Dudley replied. You know what I mean? Like Jared Dudley's guaranteed the first. I'm going to call this right now. I haven't read a single story from LA media tonight, but I guarantee you that Jared Dudley's reply will be featured in someone's game story tonight, because Jared Dudley is the ham of the group, and he's going to make sure that he's always like, yeah, LeBron, like he was the first to tweet after they won the game tonight. Like he hasn't played him. He's played like 1 minute the entire playoffs, and he tweeted, yeah, he was the first one. He's like, one more.
I know exactly what Jared Dudley's total playing time has been in the finals.
What has it been?
0.7 seconds.
Why was he in for 0.7 seconds?
It was at the end of one of the first 2 games. It was a blowout. I know this because there was a clutch points graphic about it.
Wow. Where would we be without clutch points?
I'm just going to tease something for my Twitter followers, by the way. I am preparing. Whenever the finals are over, I am going to tweet out Mount Clutchmore, the top 4 clutch points graphics from the bubble. I have like 95% locked in what all 4 selections are going to be. They have like 5 days or whatever to top themselves, which is very possible. But right now, I've got the 4. I've got the 4 selections locked in. Something would have to really scale the heights of like the top tier of clutch points graphics in order to unseat any of these. I think I've got a pretty good lineup right now.
I mean, the president and Melania getting COVID.
That's not even one.
Really?
Of them. I'm not even like counting things that happened during the bubble that aren't related to the bubble. I'm not even counting like Trump and getting COVID, or the one where it's like prayers for Beirut and it's just a picture of Steve Kerr, which is like super problematic. But
yo, we have to talk about Mark Jackson's iconic line.
Oh, the Tyler Herro one?
Tyler Herro is more than a sandwich. That sounds like something that someone would come up with on late shift Twitter when they're like super baked. Like Tyler Herro is more than a sandwich. Just
that's like a Robbie Callen tweet circa 2013.
Yeah, like when it was super in vogue to be like, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yeah.
That would be like the peak time for this Tyler Herro joke that Mark Jackson dropped on a national audience, and like multiple people had to be like, did he really just say that? Did he really?
What was crazy was that Breen and JVG didn't even really react to it. They just kind of brushed past it, and then everybody on Twitter was just like, wait, what the hell did he just say? What is this?
Yeah. Well, they're probably so used to it at this point that they just can't, like, they don't want to blow up the spot. They don't want, like, they have to work with him for at least 4 more days. Like, they have to have at least another game on Friday night. And maybe they just don't want to, they don't want to bother their coworker, maybe.
I'm going to keep my third eye open.
Or maybe they're desensitized.
I have a third eye theory here.
Okay. Third eye.
Bulls vs. Blazers, as always, we keep our third eye open. We try to put you guys up on what's really going on.
Right.
He said that a hero is more than a sandwich. What is the more than construct mostly associated with?
LeBron James, of course. More than an athlete, more than a vote.
What agency did Mark Jackson used to be with?
Well, obviously, for Klutch Sports. Spoiler
is
alert.
he trying to get back in with Klutch, and because that might help him get another job?
Definitely. Just like I said a couple of minutes ago, being in business with Klutch is good for business, and I don't think that Mark Jackson doesn't read that and see that that's like definitely the way that he should be going. But honestly, does Klutch really give a shit?
No, I think everybody involved knows that Mark Jackson's never getting another coaching job again. At this point.
He's having a great time on TV, and God.
Oh no, he wants another coaching job, but he's not going to get one.
I know. I wish he would get another job for us as fans that watch the game and listen to the commentary.
Did you see Doc's intro press conference with the Sixers, where he basically said that he was thinking about taking a break from coaching until the Sixers came as hard at him as they did?
Yeah, I did see that, and that's
so we almost. I wish we. I mean, I'm happy for Doc. I'm sure Philly paid him something close to what the Clippers were paying him, but I wish that we had gotten him on the A team. If the A, we said this in the last episode or in the episode after Doc got fired, but the A team for ESPN should be Doc, Breen, and Doris.
Mm-hmm.
Like that should be the booth.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was listening to some of Doris on the radio today with PJ Carlesimo and Mark Kestisher on ESPN Radio, and
PJ is slept on.
PJ is great, dude. PJ is. I'm just gonna say that PJ is the new Hubie. They're generationally apart enough where PJ is just like that guy. Like he just loves the game. Loves to talk about it.
He's a grinder.
He's a grinder. He's definitely a crotchety man. He was definitely pissed at Rondo taking a couple early threes in the fourth quarter. And I just love how staunchly he hates that shot. I love it. He has a fucking code. I love PJ Carlesimo, even though he choked, okay, this is way too much of an aside, but what a weird entry point for the Basketball A Love Story, the movie, to enter in on PJ Carlesimo choking Latrell Sprewell.
Getting choked by Latrell Sprewell.
That's right. Sorry, getting choked by.
I actually have not watched the Basketball Love Story.
It's good. You learn a lot. How
I know I do. I have. It's one of those things. I DVR'd it. It's probably still sitting on my DVR years back or whenever it aired. I have the book too. I haven't read. It's just one of those things that I've been bad about.
It's still on ESPN Plus.
I'll get on that after the finals are over.
Yeah, dude, that's definitely a great call because you get to learn how New York bookies nearly ruined the game. You had how the perception was, I forget however long it was ago, that basketball was a women's game, that it wasn't a game for men, which the sexism tied into the greater perception of basketball, and that assumption was important in in the story of the game. And then obviously there's just so much good stuff in that documentary, which I haven't read the book, but the documentary is fun. Lots of cool vignettes and lots of great interviews as well. But it is a weird entrance that they make where the first thing that they talk about in that movie is PJ getting choked by Latrell Sprewell. It's very weird.
Yeah, that's I mean,
like
hey, that's like the number one thing that he's known for. He's been. I mean, how much does that have to suck for him? Because like he's been a coach / commentator for like 30 years or more.
Yeah,
and the thing he's known for is Latrell Sprewell choking him.
Right, and he's like one of the most passionate guys. Like, when he's on the call for a game and he comes through to the arena, he's like, everybody's like, yo, like PJ Carlesimo. Like everyone is like, gets up off the chair, is like, this, you're my old friend. Like PJ can work the arena better than I would say any other NBA broadcaster. Like the way he resonates with those people in the basketball fraternity is unmatched among commentators, I think, that still cover the game.
Back when I was on the Bulls beat, he was doing a game for ESPN that the Bulls were playing, and he came to shoot around. And we were just sitting in the media room waiting for them to let us in for availability after shoot around. And he and I just talked for like, I'd never spoken to him before or met him before, but he and I just talked for like 20 minutes. It was great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
he was
really
just like,
cool.
he was just like totally unassuming. He was just like, he was just there wearing a hoodie. He wasn't even like dressed up or anything. He was just like, if I hadn't known who he was, like I know who he is because I'm in this world, but if I hadn't known who he was, I would have never recognized him. But I was just like, hey PJ, what's up? And then we just talked for like 20 minutes. It was really cool. That's
awesome. PJ rules. He's a man about the league. Everyone loves to talk to him. I'm sure he's making the rounds inside the bubble. I do. Him and Doris as a team are really great.
I'm sure they are. We should maybe on Friday, because I think, spoiler alert for the Patreons, plans are being made. We're in the discussion stages right now, and obviously there's a lot of like logistical stuff with COVID. Plans are being made for the Patreon episode after Game 5 of the finals on Friday to be recorded in person at Erik's place. We're discussing it. We're in preliminary. We're in negotiations right now for how it's going to work. We might have to just have the radio feed on. That just might be a move.
I'd be into it. It might be a little extra, and obviously but like Doris is great, and the way PJ is like yo, like Doris, correct me if I'm wrong here. Like he's like looking for the validation from Doris, and it's the cutest thing. I love it, and PJ is so passionate, like underrated character in the basketball world. That PJ Carlesimo. So shout out to PJ. Gosh, what else happened? Did anything else happen in the league today other than the finals?
A couple of Clippers coaching interviews. I don't know if you saw those.
No, I didn't. I'm assuming Ty Lue.
Well, besides Ty Lue. Like, we already knew that Ty Lue. This is a couple of new names. So, Malika reported that Darvin Ham is getting an interview. I don't think they're going to hire a first timer.
No.
But she also said that he's a finalist for the Indy job, so that'd be a good fit for him.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a better fit. The D'Antoni Indiana thing makes zero sense.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, why would he want to go from James Harden and Chris Paul? James Harden in the situation he had in Houston, which bad owner, obviously, but like,
yeah.
That was better. Darvin Ham would be cool, I guess, but I just think if you're the Clippers, you're in win now. You just have to choose a coach that, unless they think that Darvin Ham is like Nick Nurse 2.0.
Maybe he is.
Which we did think about that for Milwaukee, but I guess maybe what if Ballmer and Lawrence Frank listen to the pod?
No,
I'm just saying they could be.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. They could be. But then the other one, this is so Malika had Darvin Ham, and then Woj followed up with Mike Brown.
Oh, I mean, he's been in win now a lot of times. Obviously,
Steve Kerr assistant. So
Steve Kerr assistant. Also, Steve Kerr interim for much of that playoff run in 2017, 2016?
Yeah.
When he was basically the head coach until game 1 of the finals. Like, I mean, he basically was the guy. So,
yeah,
maybe he's learned something. And obviously he's a grinder. Everybody
well-liked guy.
Well-liked guy. Everyone likes him. He's a film study guy. He really knows. And maybe over the, past couple of years with the fact that he's gotten, a lot of contracts, he doesn't necessarily need the validation of being a head coach to have like a really comfortable life because he's made a lot of money as a head coach. Maybe that makes him a better head coach. I mean, that's just something I'm throwing out there as like a theory.
I would still guess that Ty Lue is probably the front runner, just based on the names that we know.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would want if I'm rooting for the Clippers. I would want a Ty Lue situation.
Oh, one other bit of coaching news from Stein, like right before the game started. I don't know if you saw this, but Alvin Gentry is joining Luke Walton's staff on the Kings.
Which, again, Luke Walton seems to have better job security than like 75% of the head coaches in the NBA.
Well, you could read it that way, or you could read it that, like, if the Kings get off to a slow start next season, now they have a guy who's been a head coach recently who they can just slide in as the interim if they have to fire Luke. So if you're a Kings fan, you should be rooting for them to start off like 0-10 or something.
True. And the thing is, like, what's Luke Walton going to do? This is his last, stop at this point.
Did you see that? Did you see that Buddy Hield has like started ignoring Luke Walton's texts?
I did see that. I saw Jason Jones reported that, and that is pretty hilarious that he just started
shout out to Buddy Hield. Shout out to Buddy Hield.
That's funny. I mean, the whole Buddy Hield Luke Walton beef has been like one of like the weird like C-level storylines of the NBA. Like,
it's one of those ones where like nobody
really cares, but like it's like they both hate each other like very clearly.
Yeah, it's one of those, and it's also the Kings keep doing this thing where they sign somebody to like a long-term extension who clearly doesn't want to be there, and they just take the money, and then they're gonna like ask for a trade in a year.
True.
So that's
shout out to my Aces for getting eliminated tonight in a sweep by the Seattle Storm. Listen, I will shit post against the Seattle Storm and all Seattle sports except for the Mariners until the end of time. But I have to give a lot of respect to Sue Bird, fourth ring, Breanna Stewart, the GOAT, coming back from the Achilles tear.
Yeah.
And just the Storm. I mean, the Storm are so stacked. It's insane how much talent they have. And it's just a reflection, I think. I mean, they're the best team in the W, but it's also a reflection of where the W is, that there's not enough teams for how many great players there are. And I think the WNBA is more than ripe for expansion. I think it's beyond time for them to add a couple of teams, because I do think that,
including the return of the Portland Fire.
Well, obviously, the return of the Portland Fire would be incredible, but like the Bay doesn't have a team. Like
Boston doesn't have a team. Philly doesn't have a team. Houston doesn't have a team anymore. Bring back the Comets. Bring back the Sacramento Monarchs.
Yeah, they could add like 6 more teams to this, because
go international, add a team in Toronto, add a team in Vancouver.
I do think that they are getting closer. I don't know what the timeline is, but I would love to see more teams in the W, because like anytime the Storm are healthy, and it's really, I mean, maybe it's the same thing in the NBA, but I think it's a little bit more evened out because there's so many teams. In the W, it's like there's just so much talent, and it's like the Storm have Breanna Stewart, and they have Sue Bird, and then they have Jewel Lloyd, and they have Alicia Thomas. Like they just have so many damn players who are like would be stars on their own team if the league was bigger.
The Aces made the finals despite not having Liz Cambage or Kelsey Plum.
Yeah, that's how good they were. They had the MVP and the 6th Woman of the Year, Dearica Hamby, and then Asia Wilson, Asia Better. She was the MVP, and they had like there's just so much talent in the W, and like it also ends up being bad because like there are good, really good players that get cut, and they have to wait out for another team or another opportunity or go abroad. And it's it just feels like there should be more jobs because there's so many great players in the W that end up getting left out. And I obviously shout out to the Storm. If you're a Storm fan, congratulations. Like, you guys deserve it. They're an amazing team. They're, an amazing collection of talent from top to bottom. But
keeping basketball alive in Seattle, bring the Sonics back.
Yeah, bring the Sonics back. The Storm are doing a great job, but I would like to say, I think the W deserves more teams. I think there should be more jobs for women hoopers because there's so many great ones. And I also think that you end up with situations like this where, the Storm, when healthy, just absolutely demolished the Aces. It was not even close.
And I wonder if, in 20 years, if the league keeps growing, are people going to talk about these Storm titles the way that they talk about the Bill Russell winning 8 titles in a row with the Celtics when there were 10 teams?
Or George Mikan
right.
and the Minneapolis Lakers or something. I could see
where you could be okay, Bill Russell won 8 titles, but he had Bob Cousy and John Havlicek and Tommy Heinsohn and 4 other Hall of Famers.
Yeah, and
because
Casey Jones and all these guys that were just all Hall of Fame players. They were just so good.
Right.
And, yeah. I think the Seattle Storm of this era are definitely there.
Okay, yeah. So, I agree with you. I would love to see... I would love... selfishly, just for our professional purposes, I would love it if they brought the Portland Fire back so we could go to games and cover games. If I'm ever in a city again where there is a WNBA team, I'm definitely trying to go to games.
They don't talk about how Jackie Stiles was maybe the GOAT before she tore her ACL. Before she tore her ACL, you look at her numbers. She was GOAT levels, but then she got hurt 1 year in, and literally with her injury went the Portland Fire franchise.
Our friend Jamie Hudson at NBC Sports Northwest, back in May or June during the pandemic, during COVID when everything was still shut down.
Yeah, at the very beginning of COVID. We shouldn't say at the beginning of
right.
It's still going.
It's still going, but during the period where there were no sports, our friend Jamie did a mini documentary series on NBC Sports Northwest about the Portland Fire, and it was a good reminder that people forget that Jackie Stiles was a bucket with the steam face.
Steam face.
So shout out to the Storm, shout out to the Aces families.
Big shout out to the Aces family. I'm hopeful that the Heat won't make us shout out to their family this weekend. I'm hoping for a Sunday game 6.
Yeah.
7
is probably too much to ask, but I'd like it to go 6.
I would like it to go 6. I would enjoy that. And listen, I think they're there. I just think that they
could have won tonight if Jimmy had hit that shot. Jimmy had hit that 3, the game maybe swings. And there were even before then, I texted you at halftime when the Lakers were up 2 at the half. I texted you and I was just look, I think the Heat are going to win this because they're controlling the pace of the game on defense and they've just made a couple of mental lapses, a couple of shots. I especially knowing this Heat team and knowing the way they're wired, knowing the way Jimmy and Spo are wired and all those guys, I don't think they're going to say, well, we're down 3-1 and we almost won that game. I guess we're going to give they're going to fight. I think if you made me predict what happens, I do think that they win on Friday and then the Lakers close out on Sunday. That's my guess.
Yeah. I think that is probably what's going to happen, and hopefully, I just want one more game, and I think the Heat are close. I don't think that there's too many more adjustments that can be made from a schematic perspective. As far as when they guard LeBron, they're not going to make the switch easy. Herro is going to show, and then he's going to retreat back, and he's going to try and get on a man, and they're going to have Jimmy on him. The only guy that they're going to be okay, easy switch is Bam. And they have that dialed in now. And I don't think that, and all it really comes down to at this point is which team is going to execute. And I do think that while, you had KCP with the big shots tonight, you had the loose plays that the Lakers got, whether it was Markieff with the offensive rebound or Rondo with the tip, that could easily flip back in Miami's way. And
getting Bam back was so huge too.
Oh yeah. And and Kelly Olynyk was terrible tonight. Kelly Olynyk was bad. And if they get a better game from him, like
Or
then all of a sudden the math flips in the series, and you're suddenly ahead in this game that you were losing. And I just think that the Heat are right there to be able to get another win. It's 3-1, and I do think that they have a chance to make it at least 6.
Is it time to start the dialogue about Udonis Haslem?
I wish we could. If they didn't play him when Bam was out, there's absolutely no way it's gonna happen.
Maybe
I wanted to.
Yeah. Or like go back to Myers. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
he was all right.
Myers was good, but like, you know, if they can get Bam the painkillers he was on tonight in the next game, and he's
Bam looked great tonight.
He looked great. He looked really good. And if they can get this Bam game with a better Kelly O game, a better Kendrick Nunn game. Nunn was terrible.
He's been bad in the whole playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, he has. I mean, there's a reason Dragic started, and if they can get that a little more calibrated and also just execute a little bit better with those second chance points and box out a little bit better. I mean, the Lakers were good on the offensive glass tonight, but the Heat could have been a little bit better. And also, I do think that Jimmy, as good as he was, has to be even better in the next game. And they got a good Duncan Robinson game tonight. They got Bam playing well. They had Herro shooting more efficiently, but they've got to be better across the board. And I think Jimmy has to be the catalyst for that. Yeah.
I mean, I think so. So, I mean, hopefully we won't shout out their families on the Patreon episode. Real quick, shout out to Eddie Van Halen's family.
Shout out to Eddie Van Halen's family. Very sad.
Yeah. Just, we're losing so many legends this year. That was a rough one.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It's I'm sorry, that it had to happen. And yeah, man, it's been a rough year.
Yeah. We'll be back. Like we said, we're in negotiations to do the Friday Patreon episode in person. We might have a guest, one that we've been teasing for a long time. The real Patreon listeners will know what I'm talking about.
Right. Shout out to our family.
Yeah. Literally in this case.
Oh, yes. Our Patreon family.
Yes. But also literally,
Yeah. And also literally my family. Yeah.
Yes. So, we'll be back next week. You can always find us on Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever else you get podcasts. You can subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/BullsVBlazers, $3 a month. You get an extra episode. We're reading the Skip Bayless book, which has been fun.
Yes.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BullsVBlazers. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Highkin. Read my stuff at Bleacher Report. Erik, tell everybody where to check you out.
You can follow me and my basketball tweets at Blazer Banter on Twitter, and you can find my writing about this series, LeBron James, the Lakers, the Heat, Jimmy Butler, everything about the NBA Finals at LeBronWire.usatoday.com. And you can follow my personal stuff if you want to at Erik, ERIK_Gundersen, GUNDERSEN.
Just real quick, they just released a new Clutch Points graphic that says Lakers fans right now, and it's a picture of Snoop Dogg with a LeBron jersey draped over his shoulder, but wearing a KCP jersey.
Oh my God.
So that's where that's at right now. But
well, Snoop is happy that he's not that whole thing about Snoop like telling like Danny Green to like work on his fucking shot.
Oh, I know. By the way, speaking of Snoop Dogg, what does your mom think about the Bad Bunny and Snoop Dogg Corona beer commercial?
Oh, I'm sure she's very into it. I'm sure she's very into Bad Bunny getting the bag. So yeah, my mom she treats Bad Bunny like another son. She really is like, go you. Now
is she a J Balvin fan also?
I don't know if she's too as much into J Balvin. I think Bad Bunny's a little bit more mom friendly.
Is she going to get the J Balvin meal at McDonald's?
Yeah, I will probably get the J Balvin meal at McDonald's with some spicy nugs.
The J Balvin meal just looked really. It was like it's literally just like a quarter pounder and fries, and then a
McFlurry. Yeah,
like all of these meals, like the Travis Scott one, or sorry, the Scott Travis one. Shout out to Ben
Golliver, yeah.
But like that theirs is like really that one is like really basic too. But like I feel like the next rapper, like we need to get like the Young Thug meal where it's like just like a fillet of fish and like I don't know, like what's a weird McDonald's menu item?
I mean, I don't know, like the hand pie, like the apple pie.
Yeah,
like the apple hand pie at McDonald's.
The Young Thug meal is gonna be just like 2 of those plus like barbecue sauce to dip it in, and no drink.
Yeah, something like that. My McDonald's meal would be 2 McDoubles and a fry.
Okay, I haven't been to McDonald's in probably like 25 years, but like,
yeah, I'm ashamed to admit the last time I went to McDonald's. I think it's probably a good time to end it.
Yeah, it is. Shout out to everybody who's listening. We'll be back Friday with a Patreon episode, so go subscribe. Thanks for listening.